Hey guys, welcome to week 4 grammar lesson. We have 2 videos this week. This first one's just going to be an introduction on droppable phrases. There are 3 types of droppable phrases. You're going to want to probably have something where you can take notes for this as we try to move through this Jamboard in the most conducive way humanly possible. So, 3 types of droppable phrases that we're going to focus on today, and I'm going to get rid of this title now because we don't need it, and we need a lot of room to be able to move stuff around. All right, so the first one that we're going to talk about is this idea of a participial phrase, right? Now, a participial phrase, if we're going to go on just pure definition, simplest definition we can go with, it's going to be a verb ending in ing or ed that evokes action. Now, be very, very careful with this because there's going to be sometimes irregular verbs, but we're not going to spend time where they don't end in ing or ed, but they are past participles or present participles. But in this case, we're just going to focus on ing or ed ending. So let's move this down here. Let's move this. Let's move this. Let's move this a little bit. Okay. So now what that means is if I take something like my shirt, then I'm going to take, actually before I move my shirt, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take like Miss Button and sagging are both ing examples, ing and ed examples of participles, right? So that's what it would look like. These are verbs that evoke action, and we're going to miss here, we're going to go here, and let's put it into a sentence on what this would look like. So if I took my shirt, comma, right here, I put Miss Button, comma, sagging, comma, hangs. I'll move this out of the way, put this period right here, hangs limply from my shoulders, right? Now, as you notice, both participles are separated by commas, which means we can remove them out of our sentence and we would still have that, right? My sentence would still read, my shirt hangs limply from my shoulder. Just anytime that we're adding these participles in, we have to make sure that we have the correct thing in there. So let's go down to the next thing, which is going to be our participial phrase, right? So participial phrase, definition-wise, is going to be very simply, let's just call it a participle plus other words that do not create a sentence, right? So we got to be careful that we're not creating 2 sentences because we would need to separate those with a comma fanboys in order to do it correctly. So let's provide an example of this one, right? Let's put the example right here. And here's our sentence, right? So if you notice, there's nothing here with this sentence. Okay, so if I want to go with what this is, right? If I want to add participial phrases to it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to start off with a participle, which is, as we notice, hissing. And then here's its other words. Hissing its forked red tongue, we would all agree, does not actually constitute a sentence. So what I would need is I'd put a comma right here. And I have another one, slithering. It's cold. Let's move this sentence out of the way. It's cold body towards the mouse, comma. And then obviously disregard the capital letter there. The snake attacks its prey. So there, I actually have a sentence that contains 2 participial phrases. Both of them I can remove and get rid of from the sentence if I needed to, but that is what a participial phrase will look like. All right, so now let's move on to what is our absolute, right? So our absolute, if we put right here, and I'm going to move this up. Hopefully I have enough room as we move on. We will see, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very clustered board, but I didn't want to put it on 2 sheets for you guys. Let's move that right there. Now, definition of a, actually we're not going to go absolute, we're going to go, let's go a positive. So let's go definition of in a positive. So in a positive is a second noun that creates a second image, and it means that it's interchangeable. So let's produce an example of this, right? So if I put an example of what a participle or what an absolute looks like, it's going to be one of these. So I'm going to take my noun. Let's put Mr. Rabbit, okay? And then I'm going to say Mr. Rabbit teaches grammar. That's my sentence, okay? But I want to throw in a positive in there. So I got to create a second noun that gives me a better image of who Mr. Rabbit is. So let's put this one in. Some of you know that I'm a baseball coach. Other people don't. But that is, coach is a second noun that gives you a second image of who I am. Now, I can't leave it like this. So what I have to do is I have to make sure that I have my commas right here, and that it is separated from my sentence. Now, interchangeable means this, guys, that I can take my positive and I can switch it with the noun, and my sentence will still make sense. So a baseball coach teaches grammar. A baseball coach, comma, Mr. Rabbit teaches grammar, and at that point, I am good to go. Mind you, I can't get a hold of that comma. That's lost in translation right there. Let me move this so it actually looks reasonable for you guys. This right here, because they're interchangeable, I am good to go, right? I've made that correct. So now let's go over here and put in a positive phrase in, right? So I got to re-add these in. Give me a second. So we'll go Mr. Rabbit again. That will be our subject, okay? We'll put that right here. And then I'm going to go a baseball coach with 15 years of experience as my positive phrase. Put my comma right here. Let's put another text box in here. Let's put another comma right there. Let's add that in here. Another with 15 years of experience. And then I need one more text box right there, and we're going to go, not title, that's really, really big. We're going to go teaches grammar. And I've moved this right here after that comma, and I'm good to go. So there is my positive phrase example. Now, these are both interchangeable. A baseball coach with 15 years of experience teaches grammar. Mr. Rabbit, comma, teaches grammar, right? It's the exact same thing. I'm able to move them, and then I am good to go with that one. So now let's talk about the last one, which I think is the hardest one to ever create, okay? So if I take this, a absolute is best known as a two-word combination, a noun plus a participle. So if I wanted an example of something along those lines, what I could have or what I would have is something along the lines of, let me go text box here, and then I'm going to go tails hanging, okay? So that's going to be my positive. Actually, I don't even need this one in there. We'll just use the one that I have up on the board as our example for both. Actually, we'll go tails hang. All right, so, and we're going to use that sentence up here that I'm going to pull down here, and I'm going to put my shirt, tails hanging, and we're going to need 2 commas for this. Let's go title, make that larger. Let's duplicate that. Let's put one right there. Let's put another one right here. Right, my shirt, tails hanging. We'll go in here to text box. Hangs limply from my shoulders. Don't need it as title. Let's go normal. Let's extend this out. right there. So now if I want to go absolute phrase down here and I want to provide the example, I'm going to say my shirt. Definitely didn't want to do that, guys. I'm going to go my shirt. And I'm going to say hangs limply from my shoulders. And I'm going to go, comma, tails hanging loose, and I have myself an absolute phrase. So now what I have here, guys, is I have my noun, tails, the tails of a shirt, and then hanging, my participle, and then words that follow after. Now, with the absolute, what you really want to look at is you want to look at it as one of those things where, because our definition for the absolute phrase is an absolute along with other words that do not create a sentence, what we're looking for is a more microscopic look at our noun. So if I wanted to write something like, I sit waiting for my I sit in the dentist chair, right? I sit in the dentist chair is my sentence. And all of a sudden I want to put I, comma, eyes darting, comma, sit in the dentist chairs. I begin to create an image of this person that's a little bit nervous, we would say, right? So then if I wanted to add on to it, if I would say something like I, comma, eyes darting from the door to the poster of throat cancer that hangs on the wall directly in front of me, comma, sit on the dentist chair, what I'm doing is I'm creating this greater image along the way. So those are our three droppable phrases, which means that I can include them in sentences as long as I'm separating them with commas, and my sentence would still stay if I remove them from the actual writing, right? Now, we will hit back on this as the weeks go on. This was your introduction. Make sure that you guys watch the follow-up video with Mr. Mullen and myself just talking about comma fanboys and core junk shifts when you have comma fanboys.